Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get all the latest updates. Sachin Pilot, Congress leader who looked like he had one foot out of the door, is now back in the party fold. This after the Gandhi family personally mediated resolution. Sachin Pilot is joining us now. He's back in Jaipur today. Sachin, thank you. Please tell us what happened to change your mind. It looked like after being called a Nikamma, among other names, you had made up your mind to not be humiliated, as you said. How did the Gandhis persuade you to stay?
It is always an issue of self-respect, Barkha, because I worked really hard along with others to form this Congress government in Rajasthan. And the then Congress president asked Ashok Gehlot ji to become chief minister and I to become deputy chief minister, which was an arrangement that I had agreed to. So obviously I had all intentions to work hard to make sure that we deliver on our promises. But 18 months haven't been quite as well as you can imagine. And, being served a notice under sedition charges to the Special Operations Group of the police, where the CM is the Home Minister, and so many instances that happened, I felt it's important for me to go and tell my side of the story. Quite a few of our colleagues, MLAs, felt that we must apprise the party leadership of the grassroots realities, because I think the communication between the party in Delhi and Jaipur, people responsible for that, obviously weren't doing a good job. It is all one-sided. And so we took it upon ourselves to go and reach out and explain ourselves. But the minute we reached Delhi, then, the whole spate of expulsion, suspensions, notices, FIRs, ACB, all sorts of things happened. And that was really not what we had intended. But I think the actions from Jaipur were counterproductive to the efforts that perhaps some people may have made in Delhi. So the communication was in a limbo. Finally, I think after 24 days, that notice was withdrawn. I suspect under court pressure, because there was no sedition charge that was made out. Anti-national to hota nahi tha kahin se. But now, finally, I think the party realized that we need to move forward. And the chief minister and other people, I think, despite what they were saying, and you used those words against me, I chose not to respond, because I felt that there has to be a decency in our public discourse in politics. I mean, you may dislike me, you may not appreciate me, you may even hate me, but you would certainly not want to use that kind of language against anyone. But I was deeply hurt and sad when I heard the choice of words that were used against me. But I didn't respond, because I think that was the best thing to do at the time. And now, of course, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi ji, we all met yesterday in Delhi and had a long discussion. And now we have a committee that will look into every single aspect that me and my colleagues raised.
Are you willing to work with Mr. Gehlot till such time as this committee reaches a decision on your grievances?
Well, I have never had any personal issues, So he's a person who's much older than I am. He's almost 70 and he's much more experienced. So I've had no personal issues. But I think when it comes to issues of governance, of collective leadership, of participative leadership, of workers who sweated and bled with me for 5 years to get them their right and their sense of ownership in the government, that's where differences arose. Because people who did dharnas, rallies, public meetings, padyatras, bhokartals, had lathis, went to jail with us, those people shouldn't feel disenfranchised from the powers of center in Jaipur. And that was the whole issue. So I have even now, Barkha, despite whatever he had said about me, Mr. Gehlot, I have nothing but respect and fondness for him, because in my upbringing, my family, my culture, anyone who's older than you, you have to treat with respect. So there's no question about that. But when it comes to pointing out what I think are missteps or not the right way to run institutions and governments, I have the right, and I think it's my duty and obligation to point that out. That's not anti-party, that's not anti-government, that's not anti-national. So I think I will certainly do that. I don't know what the future holds. Honestly, I have asked for no positions in the party. I think I've got enough from the party. But my commitment to Rajasthan and its people will remain, till my last breath.
Does Rajasthan remain the base for your politics? And I ask this because one of the rumors doing the rounds is that you will move to a central role in the party organization, that's one way to address what's happened. Not many people believe that you can return, for example, as deputy chief minister, given the words that have been exchanged and given everything that's been said and done. Do you now see a role in national politics for you outside of Rajasthan, or do you see your next steps within Rajasthan?
Well, I haven't asked for any positions in the party. All I want is our grievances to be heard and amicably settled. And I'm not even saying that everything I'm saying is true. I think I want a dispassionate assessment of what we have said address those grievances, because 3 years later, Barkha, we have to go back to the people. And I'm ultimately accountable and responsible because 18 months ago, I went to the electorate, said, this is what we promised, please vote for us. And they did. From 21 seats 5 years ago, when Ashokji was last chief minister, is what we were reduced to out of 200. And today we are at majority government. So I think I have that responsibility. But in terms of what the future holds, I don't know. I mean, I'm an MLA here. This is my Karam Bhumi. I spent 2 decades working in the state. And I told you before, my attachment, commitment, resolution to be with these people in Rajasthan, people in their good times and bad, is absolutely resolute. But having said that, if the Congress party asks of me a certain task, I have done that in the last 18, 20 years, and I will do it again. And I do it with full dedication and honesty, no matter what it is that I've been tasked with.
How did the Gandhis eventually persuade you? Because previously Priyanka Gandhis did speak with you at length. We know that as people reporting the story, and no resolution was able to come from that. And you did not actually meet with Rahul Gandhi. Do you think that she, as in Priyanka, played a major role in making this resolution happen?
I think initially what happened was that there was a lot of actions taken from Jaipur. Like I told you, so there was expulsion, suspension, and police action and administrative action, and a lot of coercive action was actually, I think, done for a lot of our colleagues and MLAs. And in that atmosphere, you really can't have a conducive discussion. And we were anyway discussing things we thought were wrong with the running of the government. So I think it wasn't taken in the right spirit. As time went by, I think every side got more emboldened in where they stood. And I repeat again, it was nothing personal, and I still stand by that. But we have a government to run. We have promises to keep. So we need to tell the reality of what on the ground the situation is. And then, of course, I met both Rahul Gandhi ji and Priyanka ji yesterday and had a very open discussion. And I said exactly what I had to say. They were very patient, and then we had a very frank discussion. And post that, Congress president has appointed this committee. So yes, I did speak to Priyanka Gandhi about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. But at that point, what was said in Delhi and the actions in Jaipur were, I think, counterproductive to each other. And that's why we weren't able to move forward.
You have been accused by Mr. Gehlot and his loyalists of being in touch with the BJP. He has even spoken about audio tapes. He said that you took away MLAs to a resort, that BJP was offering money to you and your aides. I'm sure that came up within the party forum as well. And if it didn't, how would you like to respond to it in any case? Because this is the Chief Minister of Rajasthan making this allegation about you. Not even the BJP.
It doesn't cost any money to make allegations. It doesn't cost to do name calling and point fingers and throw mud. But there has to be, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Exactly a month ago, I said to everybody when I went to Delhi that, stop name calling, and we are in the Congress and we will remain in the Congress. Not a single word was uttered by me or my colleagues against the Congress party, against the Congress president, or even against the government. In fact, even our grievances were not allegations of corruption or integrity, a lack of thereof. We said governance styles, structures need to be changed. It's very easy to allege, but when you're facing a police action, when you enter Rajasthan state, now whether you stay in Noida, Delhi, Hyderabad, Gurgaon, whatever it is, we all stayed at our own expense, and all of us pooled in money to pay some very heavy lawyers fee that you're aware of. But all of that, I think it helped those people who wanted to form that narrative. A lot of kite flying was done, a lot of fingers were pointed. But you've got to look at what the facts are, what we said, what we did. That's what makes a difference, not what someone is alleging. I mean, people have alleged that Vasundhara ji was in a way helping Ashok Gehlot ji with giving some of our MLAs. So I mean, there's no end to how much you can speculate in politics, but you have to go with what you see and what you do.
But talking about paying lawyers' fees, your choice of lawyers was seen to be two very senior men, very close to the BJP. And that led to speculation that this is a proxy BJP battle, and you're the front for it. How do you respond to the Mokal Rohtagi Harish Salve links to the BJP as it was seen?
I've said this many times before. The fact is that the first person I reached out to was my dear friend Abhishek Singhvi ji. And he was polite but firm, said that, I can't fight your case. And we got the notice was issued within 4 hours of the complaint. It doesn't happen. And we had a few hours before we had to take some legal action. And I reached out to Harish Salve, who I know for many years. But I think just because you engage a lawyer, and I don't want to engage someone who was not going to be effective. So I looked out for, people I knew who I could, immediately ask for. And then Mr. Salve reached out to other lawyers and put a team together, because we had High Court, Supreme Court, multiple cases going on at the same time. And in Corona times, I don't have much choice. But having said that, a professional person is professional. Um, I'm sure Mr. Rodgi and Mr. Salve have fought cases for TMC and TDP and Aam Aadmi Party and so on and so forth. But when you want to create a narrative, you pick up these points. So I was very careful about that. So all of us have pulled in together. 20 of us chipped in a few lakh each, and made a corpus so that we could pay all these lawyers' fees. But what's more important is that the BJP, perhaps as an opposition, was trying to find some fault lines and then do politics in it. That question they can best answer. We, within the framework of the party and party's platform, raised our concerns and did it decisively and effectively. I think we did pull no punches.
Okay.
And now it's up to the party to decide how they want to take it.
Final question. If you were to bump into Mr. Ashok Gehlot in Jaipur in the next few days, what would you say to him?
Why bump into him? We work together.
Are you going to go and meet him? Because we know you didn't talk for many, many months. He said that publicly.
But he said that. I know he said that we haven't spoken for 18 months, and I think it's best that he throws more light on it. And I don't want to comment on what he said. In fact, on any of what he said, because I don't think it's what I want to do. But I have nothing but regard and fondness for him. As a person who's older than me, I have no ill will. I think personal animosity, negativity, venom, this ill will shouldn't be there in public life. You have disagreement, that's fine. But people are watching what we say. So unless you maintain that decency of discourse in public life, I think people view you negatively. And whenever I do see him, he doesn't live very far from where I stay in Jaipur. But whenever I do see him, I have no sort of animosity. I have regard and respect for him as a person. But as Chief Minister, if I still find something needs to be corrected, I shall and I will speak out and let that be known. Are
you hoping to lead the party in the next elections in Rajasthan? And have you got an assurance on that?
Well, I did lead it 18 months ago when we fought. I spent 5 years on the ground.
You know what I mean. I mean, as the chief ministerial candidate for the next election.
I have not asked the party for anything, frankly. I mean, I wanted justice for people who work with us, workers, MLAs, etc. Because they must feel stakeholders in this government. Otherwise, what's the point of having a house and a car if you have no respect and no resources and no power to do something for your people in the state? So I don't know what the future holds. As far as I'm concerned, I am committed to my state, the people, and the party. So whatever the party wants me to do, I'll be more than happy to do it. Who knows what the future holds? Really, I really don't know what the future holds. But as of now, I think I've done my job. Party has taken cognizance of what we've said. And I'm very hopeful with the commitment I've seen from Rahul ji and Priyanka Gandhi ji. I think there's a definite firmness and a conscientious decision that things need to be resolved and done in a time-bound manner. And I told Priyanka Gandhi yesterday, I said, I hope this committee is not one which just is a fill in the blank and just lies around and does nothing. So I think the entire top brass of the Congress party is committed to resolving this, and I think that's good.
Okay, as they say, watch the space. Sachin Pilot, thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you.